Okay, so power resources is all about the energy generation, power generation, the resources that we use for this, for generating power, the potential of Pakistan in terms of power generation through renewable and non-renewable energy resources. So we classify these resources into two major categories: the renewable energy resources and the non-renewable energy resources. So what are renewable? Number one, all of those resources that can be used again and again, resources that can be replenished again and again. For example, water, solar, wind, all of these are the natural resources which can continue to, you can use these resources again and again without a limit to the usage. Non-renewable energy resources are those that cannot be replenished again, and they get finished with time. For example, coal, oil, crude oil, natural gas. All right, fossil fuels are an example of the non-renewable energy resources. You must have heard people talking about how fossil fuels are dangerous for the environment because they contribute to the air pollution, and they are also running out because they cannot be replenished again. So this is why, and this is the reason why they're classified as these non-renewable energy resources. You cannot use them again. So once the reserves of these fuel, the fossil fuels, the reserves of coal, oil, gas, they're finished. There's no way going back. All right. Now we're talking about these resources in detail. First of all, the non-renewable energy resources, fossil fuels. Coal is the first one. How is coal formed? First of all, from fossil fuels. When these fossils are decomposed, the natural vegetation is decomposed because of the extreme heat and pressure underground. These fossils pile up. They lose their carbon content, and they produce this substance known as coal. All right. 91% of coal produced in Pakistan is used in brick kilns and 9% in power generation. So this is how we're using the substance in the country. Brick kiln industry is a very major industry in Pakistan because of the urbanization that's taking place in the country. You need bricks for the construction industry. Construction industry has always boomed in this country, and it's still booming. So because of that, you need more raw material, and brick, being the raw material for this industry, uses coal for its production. So 91% of coal produced in Pakistan is used in brick kilns, and rest is used in power generation, the 9%. Types of coal: there are four major types of coals: anthracite, bituminous, lignite, and peat. You can skip this part where, you can skip the descriptions of these four types of coals. You just know the names. All right. Coal fields of Pakistan. Okay, now coal fields are all those areas that serve as reserves of coal. You can extract coal from those areas. So basically, there is this Thar coal field, and 91% of coal is produced. Okay, sorry, 175 billion tons of coal is found in the Thar coal field. This is the major coal field that's located in Pakistan. Okay, then there are a few other minor coal fields as well. For example, the Quetta coal field, the Salt Range, the Lower Sindh coal field. So you can find these coal fields in Sindh, Balochistan, Punjab, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, mostly in Balochistan and Sindh. All right, Thar is also in Balochistan, Sindh, and Quetta is also over there. So most of the areas in Balochistan and Sindh have these coal reserves. So now we're also skipping this information because you should just know the names of these coal fields and ignore the other details. Okay, now the mining process. Guys, we've already discussed mining in the mineral resources already. There are two types of major mining methods: the open cast mining and the underground mining. The underground mining has further two types: the adit and shaft mining. So open cast mining is extraction of minerals that takes place on the surface of the earth. It is it is open cast because the minerals are easily available on the earth's surface. Similarly, the adit mining is a process that takes place under the ground. You have to, for this process, you need to dig and then you need to enter the underground reserves of minerals and fuels to extract these minerals from. Shaft mining is adit and shaft mining are both types of underground mining. The difference between adit and shaft mining is a vertical process. If you see this diagram over here, this is what shaft mining is. You enter the reserves vertically, whereas this is adit mining, where you enter the cave or the reserves horizontally. All right. Both of these are underground mining methods. The difference lies in the ways you basically extract the minerals from these reserves. Problems with mining, we've already discussed this in the previous chapter as well. Ventilation, dangerous gases, explosives. So workable conditions are, I mean, the conditions aren't workable because of these, the leakage of gases, explosives. The working conditions are pretty dangerous for the lives of the workers, the miners who perform their duties in the mines, and their working timings are also pretty irregular. So they work all day and all night, and they stay 24 hours in a very dangerous environment. All right. All right, transportation of coal. I'm gonna skip this again because we've already done this part as well in the previous topic. You can refer to mineral resources for this for notes from this topic. Um, Mineral oil. All right. So this is mineral oil is another fossil fuel. It is also known as black gold, and it is found in sedimentary rocks. So the spaces, the porous spaces are basically there are pockets within the rocks. You can find mineral oil within those pockets and spaces of the rocks. Oil is trapped over there, and you can also and then those rocks can be found underground or under the seabed. All right. So oil drilling is the process through which mineral oil is extracted. So as we know, we need to get to these rocks, first of all, the sedimentary rocks to extract the oil from. So the first process of extraction of mineral oil is to reach out to the sedimentary rocks via oil drilling. It is a very costly process because you need these machines and oil rigs to set up this infrastructure. Drilling of 2,000 to 5,000 meters is required to reach that level to extract the minerals from. All right. So this is a diagram, a detailed diagram of a sedimentary rock. This part where there are lines, this is the non-porous rock, and the one with the dots is the porous rock. So the areas where dots is the part where you can obtain the mineral oil from the porous rocks. All right. Process steps: number one, you need derrick or an oil rig. Pipes are inserted into the ground. Oil rises when pressure is released, cooled with mud mixture water, valves to control flow into the pipeline, and then derrick is removed. So first the derrick is set up, pipes are inserted. Because of the difference of pressure, oil basically rises, or you could say it's pumped up, and later on it is cooled with water, and the derrick is then removed. Okay. Oil fields. Now, mineral oil can be obtained from these two major oil fields in Pakistan, the Potawar Plateau oil field and the Lower Sindh oil field. We need to talk about these oil fields in detail over here. So Potawar Plateau oil field is located in the northern part of Pakistan, areas near Rawalpindi, Sambad, all right, Balkasar, interchange. So all of these are the areas are surrounding the Potawar Plateau oil field. All right. Then this Lower Sindh oil field is located near Khashheli, Karachi, Mazari. All right. So these are the areas surrounding this oil field. This Lower Sindh oil field produces 35% of Pakistan's oil. All right. Now this is an important map study. Guys, these are the places where the oil fields are located. If you see, this is the part where the Potawar Plateau oil field is located, and this is the southern part where the Lower Sindh or oil field is located. All right. So guys, is there any question so far?
So can you
That's
repeat
all good, sir.
Hmm?
the labeling?
Labeling. Okay, can you see my cursor? Amna, can you see the cursor?
Yes, yes, I can see.
Okay, so this is the place where the Pottinger Plateau oil field is located. All right. If you locate it on the map, this is Punjab, this is the Pottinger Plateau near Rawalpindi, Islamabad. All right. And this is the Lower Sindh oil field. It's located near Karachi. All right. Oil refining
Okay.
process. So when mineral oil is extracted, it is not just used in its raw form. It needs to be processed. It needs to be refined into useful products. For example, fuel for airplanes, fuel for cars, kerosene oil, diesel for trucks and buses. So the raw form for all of these fuels is the mineral oil. It is then further refined into these different types of oils and fuels. So oil refineries, you need to, first of all, let's say if the mineral oil is extracted from the site, it is then transported to an oil refinery. Oil refineries are the areas where the refining processes take place. For example, there is this one Morga Oil Refinery. It's located near the Pottinger Plateau oil field. You have the National Oil Refinery. It's located in Karachi near the Lower Sindh oil field. All right. And then other than these two, you have this Mahmood Kot Oil Refinery, Pakistan Oil Refinery, and Hub Oil Refinery. All right. So these oil refineries are all these places where the oil is then transported from the site for this further processing and refining processes. Let's talk about these two major oil refineries only. Number one, the Morga Oil Refinery, or it's also known as the Attak Oil Refinery. It's located in the northwest of Punjab, near Rawalpindi, on the Pottinger Plateau. So, what is the advantage of having an oil refinery nearby an oil field? So you see the two refineries over here, the Morga Oil Refinery and the National Oil Refinery, are both located near the two very important oil fields. And the others are obviously a little far away from these fields. So guys, an open question, that why do you think having an oil refinery nearby an oil field is important? What are the benefits of this?
Because then you don't need to transport the oil for a long distance, and you can like connect pipes from the oil field to the refinery because it's right next to it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can save on the transportation cost because you will not have to transport oil over long distances through different modes of transportation, and you can definitely use cheaper modes of transport if the oil refinery is nearby the oil field. All right. So this is why Morga Oil Refinery and the national oil refineries and the Pakistan oil refineries are very, very important. All right. And then there's another advantage of having an oil refinery in a major city. For example, the National Oil Refinery is located in Karachi. Karachi is the trade hub of Pakistan. So you can import oil from different countries to Pakistan, and it can later be exported as well from Pakistan to other countries if an oil refinery is located. So let's say if you're importing raw oil from Saudi Arabia, you'll have your own refinery to process that oil and then use it within the country. So this is why national oil refinery is very important. Oil imported from Saudi Arabia is first refined at the national oil refinery in Karachi, and then it's further transported to other parts of the country for usage. And similarly, let's say if you want to export the oil and your refinery is located in a major city, you can refine the oil in that city, and then you can transport it to other countries, because Karachi it has these major seaports as well, and it has these sea routes to Saudi Arabia, UAE, Middle Eastern countries, and this is where you can export the oil. Although you don't need to export the oil to those countries, they already have sufficient resources, but still this is a potential of having a refinery in a major city. Now, look at this map. This is where the Morga Oil Refinery is located, oil field and the oil refinery. Guys, these, you see, if you look at the key, this is the oil field. And this small circle is oil refinery. You see how close the two are, oil field and oil refinery. And then this is the oil field, and where is the oil refinery? They've missed out the diagram for oil refinery here. Okay. All right. So study the figure 6, describe and explain the distribution of oil refineries. So when you describe, you first of all tell where the refineries are located, and then you explain why are they located in those areas. So for example, if you're telling Morga Oil Refinery is located on the port of a plateau, Mahmood Court is located in southern Punjab, and this Karachi Oil Refinery is located on the Sindh coast, you need to explain their locations. This is just a description. You guys, you need to understand while answering questions, the geography, you don't just describe, you explain these answers as well. So the explanation for Morga Oil Refinery is that it's located near the Potova Plateau oil fields. It's easier to transport oil to the refinery. Mahmood Court is placed in the central Pakistan, so you can get the oil from southern as well as northern parts of the country and refine it in a central place. So sorry guys, so yeah, so Mahmood Court Refinery serves it has a very strategically important location. And then the Karachi Oil Refinery is also nearby the oil fields, so this is why it's also very important in terms of its location. Please excuse me for a second. All right, transportation of oil. So now, how to transport oil from the site, from the drilling site to the refineries, and then from the refineries to within the countries, for to the industries, to the housing societies, and how to import oil to the other, export it to other countries and import from the other countries. This is what transportation of oil is. Pakistan basically imports petroleum from other countries such as Saudi Arabia and UAE. So when the when petroleum arrives at the seaport, so basically we use these sea ports for the transport from other countries. Kemari port in Karachi, Port Qasim is used for these purposes, and then it is transported within the country on these trucks or oil tankers. And after getting refined, all right, so the oil that arrives in Karachi is refined at the Karachi oil refinery, and then it's transported to the country. So within the country, it can be transported by these three major transportation modes. Number one, by pipelines, by road tankers, and by rail tankers. All right. The most easiest of them all is the pipeline method, but again, it's expensive and it's difficult to maintain pipelines because in case of damages, they can cause greater problems for people. They are also harmful for the environment, for the people, because let's say if a pipeline passes through a colony or a housing society, it is dangerous if a leakage happens. All right, road tankers are accessible; they're more suitable because they're less expensive. Rail tankers are expensive and they're only used if a very large quantity of oil is exported. All right, you cannot use rail for smaller quantities. So this is why both of these transportation methods, the pipeline and rail tankers, have limitations. Road tanker transportation method is the most feasible of them all. All right. All right. Now, uses of oil. So number one, you can first, you can basically understand these uses through this web. Byproducts. Okay, we'll come to the byproducts later. Power generation, electricity and heating. You can use oil to generate electricity and for the heating purposes. Lubricants, fuel, petrol and diesel, and domestic purposes. Then the byproducts are used as pesticides, plastics, and wax industries. All right. So a transport industry consumes 42% of the total oil of Pakistan. Power industry consumes 37.5%. Industries, the factories, we're talking about the we're specifically talking about the production factories, the industries, the secondary sectors, 13.1%. Domestic households use 3.17%. Government sector uses 2.23%, and agriculture uses 1.47%. Where is oil used in agriculture, guys? question?
So for tractors,
Yeah,
to run
for
the
the
tractors.
yeah, for the machineries and yeah, the mechanization of agriculture requires oil and fuel. All right. So now extraction, there are certain problems with the extraction of oil. Number one, finances, government budget allocations, lack of technology, lack of experts, less quantity of oil, remote areas. So because of, I'm going to discuss this last point, the fifth one, because oil is mostly present in areas such as Balochistan, Sindh, areas that are remote and they're not very easily accessible. So it's difficult to access those areas and transport oil from those areas because of because of less connectivity. There are no proper infrastructure facilities, no proper roads to get the oil from those areas to other places. All right, and then the government is also not interested in most of this exploration because it requires a huge investment, all right, to to extract oil. And then it's also a chance whether you maybe get the desired amount of oil or not. So this is why it's a bit risky as well. Explain why in detail it is necessary for Pakistan to import so much petroleum even though petroleum is produced in Pakistan. So why are we still dependent on the imports despite having a good production of petroleum in the country? Number one, our production is low because of all these
Sir,
problems that we just
because
discussed. Yeah.
okay.
Yes, yes, please continue if you want to add on to it.
So because we don't have that much quality, that appropriate quality of
Hmm.
petroleum to be to cater the public or to just
To meet the demands of the general public. Yeah, because our
to
population
meet the
is
demands or
increasing. Hmm.
to run the machineries that use a
Hmm.
good petroleum.
You're right. So because the agricultural sector is getting mechanized every day, the population is increasing, the demands are also increasing. Yeah. So it's difficult to meet these demands, the demands of the growing population, the demands for the machinery, the increasing industrialization, urbanization. Yeah. So this is why the demand is increasing, the production isn't. So it is important to have an increased supply of petroleum as well. This is why Pakistan needs to depend on the imports. Secondly, thermal power stations use oils. We have quite a few thermal power stations in the country. Byproducts, we have these industries producing wax, plastics, and paraffin, and those industries also require oil. Demand for electricity is also increasing again because of the increasing population. This demand for the infrastructure is also increasing every day, and then you need to depend on your resources. And if you are not a self-sufficient country, you will obviously have to import the resources from other countries. This is why it is necessary for Pakistan to import petroleum from other countries despite having a good production within the country. What problems it caused for Pakistan because so much is spent on importing petroleum? Negative trade balance. Number one, if you've studied economics, you'll know that negative balance of payments it happens when the imports are high and the exports are low. But the burden of debt at times in order to purchase these raw materials, to keep the industries running, the countries they take loans from the International Monetary Funds, IMF, or the other organizations or other countries, and just to get to get the required raw material to keep the industries running. All right, foreign exchange gets used up, and then the budget is, I mean, they face these problems regarding the allocation of budget to proper sectors such as education, healthcare, infrastructure. All right. With that, guys, okay, this page got repeated. All right. So then explain how oil products are important to either farming or manufacturing. You just have to explain three reasons for farming and then manufacturing. Okay, we're gonna start off with natural gas in tomorrow's class. Guys, we're doing some questions now as a class assignment. And this assignment has to be uploaded on the Google Classroom. I'm gonna assign a class task over there right now. All right. Let me just tell you guys the questions and then I can assign it over there on the classroom as well. So you guys can upload the assignment over there. Due date will be right now at 3 p.m. All right. We still have half an hour. So start noting down the questions. So guys, the first question that you're supposed to attempt all right, guys, please note this question down. Describe and explain the distribution of oil refineries. Let me also type it in the chat. This is question number 1 on page number 11. All right. You can also note down the page numbers. Describe and explain the distribution of oil refineries. This is a 6-mark question. Okay, this question that we were discussing right now. No, balki I'm gonna write another question. It's not there on the on the notes, but how, to what extent, guys, please note it down. To what extent is it possible to extract mineral oil in Pakistan? It is a 6-mark question. You need to write problems and possibilities. Three possibilities and 3 problems. We've discussed the problems and the possibilities both with proper developments, explanations, and examples. All right. I'm posting these 2 questions on the Google Classroom. Submission time is 3 p.m. We have half an hour to attempt these 2 questions. You can start working